Hey, this is Patrick with Trusty Huckster Mercantile. Hey, this is Patrick with Trusty Huckster Mercantile. Welcome to my channel. And welcome to Huckster Hop. I've been alternating with Beth from Carolina Princess Sweet Treats and Pretties and hosting these monthly shop hops with a number of different resellers. And it's my turn, and today is the Huckster Hop for August. If you are watching these in order, I am actually the last channel within the lineup. So by the time you get to mine, you hopefully have seen some of the others, and you may be out of money. But if not, feel free to buy what you want, but also feel free to go back and pick up channels you may have missed. If you go into the description of my video or this video, you will see a link to all of the channels that participated in this month's Shop Hop, as well as hopefully some Hey, this is Patrick with Trusty Huckster Mercantile. Welcome to my channel, and welcome to this month's Huckster Hop. If you've been following my channel, you know that over the last several months, I've been alternating with Carolina Princess Sweet Treats and Pretties to host these drop sale shop hops. This is the shop hop for August. And if you're watching these in the order that they are dropping on Sunday afternoon, August 28th, I'm the last one. So this is the end of the line for the series of videos that have been posted. Hopefully you've been watching the channels that have been posting throughout the day, but if not, no worries. Go into the description of this video and you will see a link to all of the channels that have been participating in today's drop sale. And if you go back and check out their videos, they should have some level of description in the video or in their descriptions of their videos of what items might still be available to purchase. So you are not too late. You do not have to be watching these as they go up. You can always go back and pick some up and hopefully find some great items at some great prices from some of the great resellers. You can also go into the description of this video and you will find an explanation of how these drop sales work. Quick summary, these are pre-recorded sales, so hi, this isn't live. So there is no live chat. There's no discussion that's going on while I'm showing you the items. I cannot answer questions as you see an item. Instead, I pre-recorded this video along with all of the others in the drop sale. And if you see an item that you want, these are first to claim. There is no auction. There is no offer up. Simply, I will show you an item. I will tell you the price, and I will give you that item number. Once you see that number, jump over into the comments section of the video, enter the item number, and you will be able to claim that item. This month, my drop sale, it's not really a theme. I guess it's kind of a theme in the sense everything's $10. So we're going to simplify things. Everything you see, the minute I hold it up, you're going to know it's going to cost $10. So then you're just going to wait for the number, and to make things interesting, they're not numbers this time, they're letters. So I will give you a letter for that item. You will put that into the comments. YouTube does still sort them based on when they are posted, so I will see who the oldest comment is, and I will go in, I will let the person know who claims it, and I will be keeping a running tally in the comment section of what items have been claimed and or are still available. So thanks again for joining. Hope you enjoyed the earlier part of the sales, and you will enjoy mine. So some random items today. Again, everything, if there's no particular theme in what the items are, the theme is that they are all $10. And the first item that I'm going to show is, if you watch my channel, you know I do a lot with ephemera. It's just something that I enjoy. These are things that I always like picking up. You can see that this is a Read and Hear a Little Golden Book and a special golden record. So I've had golden books quite often. This one is still sealed in its original retail packaging. So the date on this one, I did not see an actual copyright, but the address that's on the back does have a zip code, so that does make it after 1963. It is still an album, not a cassette or an 8-track. I would say, I remember these growing up, so I would say this is probably 70s. It could be going into the late 60s. This is a word to parents about golden books and record sets, kind of explains it on the back, and this is, the album itself is Baby's Mother Goose, Pat a Cake. So this is a perfect item if you've got a child, if you've got a grandchild, and you still have a record player. You too can play a album and read along with a golden book to that child for this little pre-packaged, still sealed, new old stock golden book. And again, everything I'm going to show you is 10 bucks. So the only mystery is what is the item going to be. And if you want this, you need to enter the letter K. K is for key. Gets you the little golden books with a record. Put the K in the comment section and you get this item for $10. Another item that I am posting, I picked up several of these and I've actually sold several of these in sales previously. This is a little watch parts tin. It's just a very cool container. If you follow my channel, you know Katie and I have done a lot of shows together and she collects the typewriter ribbon tins. These are a little bit smaller than a traditional typewriter ribbon tin, but it's the same concept. They would have held watch parts. This one is in pretty rough condition. You can see the label's been a little bit worn down, a little rusty, a little crusty, coming to you from Trusty. But it is a really cool, and it's still a functional piece. Inside is another smaller bottom. This one would have also had a lid in and of itself to hold some of the pieces inside, or might have been from a different piece. I'm just including it because that's the way I picked it up. The other ones I sold were all in better condition, and so those sold for significantly more money. This one I still think is sweet. I still think it's just a great functional item and will look great in any sort of display, or in some cases, Katie does this for some of her industrial pieces. A large bowl, a large jar, apothecary jar, puts things like this in there. It's just got some great patina to it, makes an interesting conversation piece. So it is a watch tin, again for $10, and you can pick that up by giving me letter C. Letter C gets you the little watch tin. And it is, I should say, it's nickel number 44, and the name that's on here is, it's embossed in the lid, something watch company. See if you can see it a little bit better than I can. I don't know. I can't quite read it. I'll try and figure that out. Maybe I'll put it on the screen. So anyway, little tin, 10 bucks by giving me letter C. Also, if you've been watching my channel in the past, I have done some videos. I did a joint video with Katie from Vintage and Vinyl talking about World's Fairs. And I had some items that I had for that video I am now selling. And so these are a pair, and you get both of these in the collection for the $10. It is a pair of items that are from the Knoxville World's Fair, which happens to be the only World's Fair I have attended. This was 1982 in Knoxville, Tennessee. This is a little, you can see there's a little hook to hang this on the wall. It is a little rings and things cup. So you put this on the wall and you've got a little souvenir from the 1982 World's Fair. Let's see, on the bottom it says made in Taiwan, Republic of China. But no real mystery of when this was made because the date's right on there and the World's Fair only ran for that year. So you've got the Sun Sphere from the World's Fair in the little rings and things cup. And to go along with it, you've got this little mini mug, toothpick holder, kind of in the shape of a penny candy cup that were made. Again, this is from 1982. These are not old. These are not for penny candy. So this time probably used for a toothpick holder, but also has the Sun Sphere logo on the front that says the 1982 World's Fair. So this is a pair of World's Fair items from Knoxville, 1982, and you get the pair by giving me letter D. D. A little less mystery. These I have sold before. I've got a series of pie plates. These pie plates actually happen to grace the kitchen in the production of Clue that I just did. So I pulled all this stuff out of that, and these were, again, I was grabbing things, what can I sell for 10 bucks? I just said, hey, you know what? These are easy access to grab, so I'm gonna make these available. I would have listed them separately on eBay because this one I have sold before, and they do actually sell for reasonable amounts on their own. A couple of them, they're all different. So this is Pies by Fasano, and it has the old-fashioned phone number, PO. I don't know what PO would have stood for. Like Murray Hill was MU, Flatbush was FL. I don't know what PO would have been. but I'm not even sure what city that's from. This one is Case Moody Pies. It kind of has a star there in the middle. And then this one is I'm gonna say it's LJ. I think that's an H in the middle. And I did once upon a time know what the LJH stood for. These two have holes in the center, and the pies by Fasano have holes throughout it. So I don't know. I'm not a pie maker. I don't know what the holes would have done. I guess maybe helps the heat even. I don't know. But again, I could sell these for more, probably more, but it would take longer to sell on eBay, and I'd have to take pictures of all of them, and taking pictures of this is hard because light reflects off of them. So you know what? I picked these up specifically to go into the set for Clue. So the fact that I can resell them at all is a bonus for me. So you get all three of them. And these are steel. A magnet does attach to these. They're not the lightweight aluminum. These are a set of 3 steel pie plates for $10. All 3 of them for 10 bucks by giving me letter J for jam. So make jam pies. Next item, found a textile. This I just thought was really pretty, and I don't know the age of this item. It is a fashion scarf. It has a green ground in the middle, and then along the edges is just a sweet seashore design of a boy and a girl, with a little cart and a horse, playing with pail, playing by the seaside. There's kind of a boat out in the distance. Definitely an old-fashioned print or illustration. The scarf itself does have a tag. It is made in Japan, so it is vintage, and it's from the company, which I'm not familiar with, Anne Marie. But Anne Marie French Provincial 100% silk, dry clean only. So you've got a tag still in situ at the corner of the scarf. And then somewhere on the scarf, it also has Anne Marie printed on it. There it is. So you have Anne Marie in the edge, the stripe. You also have Anne Marie into the silk. So it's just an attractive, fairly large scale silk scarf. Very easily, just to strangle myself with it. Not quite shawl size. I mean, we are still dealing with a scarf, but again, a fairly decent sized item. And it is also available for $10, and you can get the Anne Marie French Provincial Silk Scarf for $10 by giving me letter W. W for wagon gets you the Anne Marie scarf. All right, for this next item, I'm going to give you I need to give you a little bit of a trigger warning because we've got a clown coming in. So for those of you who do not like clowns, fair warning. You've got a paper mache clown. So these were late 20th century, 80s, 90s, predominantly made in either Mexico. Some of them I think were made in Italy. This one is not marked. It is a lacquered kind of paper mache, relatively lightweight, but there's a lot to him, and there's quite a bit in his hair. So he does have a little bit of weight to him. He'll be over a pound in the packaging. But you've got the little balloons on wire. You've got well, let's just say it. You've got the clown face. So there you go. You've got the little starched lace collar. He's actually in pretty good condition. He's got a little bit of wear kind of on his back, on his feet. So I think he can, you're not gonna be able to see this. He can stand up. So you can't see him, but he is standing up. But I also would think he'd be fairly easy to tip over because he's a little top heavy with his head. So I don't know if that's where some of the damage, maybe he got tipped over onto it. But in general, body-wise, all of the lacquer on the paper mache is still in place. His hat is still firmly attached, and the wires are still securely attached into his hand. So he is a clown, and he is available for $10, and you get him by giving me letter V. Letter V, $10 for the paper mache clown. Next item, we are getting into, I think this is pretty cool, and to be perfectly honest, I probably should have listed this on eBay, but sometimes it's easier to sell them in these live sales and the pre-recorded sales. because I can show them a little bit easier on screen. It is a child's, or probably more of a teen, magazine that originally would have been sold. It says it used to be used with the aviator's training cockpit. I do not know, I do not have the training cockpit. It looked like this, because it's described in the back that you can use the cockpit, you know, how to play with it. But what is cool about this is it gives information on how to actually fly. So there's information on how to use the cockpit, but there's just stuff in here that this was a wartime item, that it has your 4 controls, the throttle, the wheel control, that's if you had the item, rules for takeoff, but you've got primary flight maneuvers. You've got descriptions of what all of your gauges should say if you were trying to fly, how to do turns. So this just is instructing on turns, how to do 90-degree turns. You know, so these are all things that, yes, would have applied to the game, to the cockpit pilot thing, but it's also, you know, how to fly shallow figure 8s. You're not actually doing this with the game. This is just describing what you need to do to land your plane, what the flying regulations are, how to do stunts in your plane. So you could read if you couldn't actually go about doing it. But what I found fascinating, because it is a wartime item, check this out. It's a 2-page spread that talks about the underside silhouette of different fighter planes, whether they were ours or whether they were the enemy's. So the idea that the recognition characteristics of the wings from the front, from the bottom, the letters of, they named all the enemy planes, so that if a plane was flying overhead, a kid could run outside with his little book, kind of like the little Orphan Annie decoder ring, and sit there and try and identify what plane is flying overhead. I'm finding that this is just fascinating. You can see there's a little bit of condition issue. There's some splitting going on. The cover is still attached, but it does have a little bit of separation. There's a flyer's dictionary on the back. The graphics are just super cool, that if you don't want to use it to actually read, you could frame some of these. There's just some cool color illustration on the outside and even some colors on the inside as well. It's just a fun piece. I couldn't really find any history on it. I couldn't even find the cockpit sale. So it's kind of just a standalone item that I figure, I know what I got, how much I paid for it, and I got it at a good price. So I'm passing it on as just something fun at 10 bucks. So if you want the How to Fly manual for $10, you can have it by giving me letter P. The next item also happens to have come from the Clue set. I really did just kind of walk around figuring out, okay, what do I have to sell in the sale? And this was another item that was hung in the kitchen. And I did do a video showing the set of Clue, so some of these items you will have seen up there. But this is just a great copper strainer with a very long handle. So this would have been more for, you know, a large cooking fire, or something like this. You could even pull something like this if you're doing a campfire. You know, you could be pulling things out of a pot of water from a distance if you've got open flame. It's a really cool piece with some really cool design to it, that really sharp diamond shape that's in the middle. Fairly, I would say probably a 6-inch diameter body for the strainer. Would look great just being hung, you know, in an industrial environment. It's just a great piece of brass. But it's still functional, because something like this is easy enough to clean to make it food safe, and you would have a very unique, almost strainer colander. You know, it might be a little hard to maneuver with a pasta pot, but hey, get creative and you just have a cool vintage kitchen item that is available to you for 10 bucks. So $10 for the brass, I guess I'll call it a strainer, $10, and you get that one by giving me a letter S. So if you follow my channel, you know I like my porcelain. I have quite an extensive collection of porcelain and glass that's just in my own, for my own decor. But when I find pieces, I do like to pick them up if I can get them at good prices, or if I find that they're of an interesting appearance. And this is a pair of miniature vases that I'm offering. Again, this is going to be sold as the pairs. You get both of them for the $10. These came from a collection. I can't remember if it was actually Franklin Mint or it was Danbury Mint. It was one of those cases where you got these miniature vases one a month. So they offered 12 of them throughout the year. I found these at an estate sale. They did not have the entire set, so I just picked up the ones that what they had. And this pair, there is a sticker on the bottom, so you can do a little bit of research on them. That's how I discovered what they were. But it doesn't really matter. It's a miniature vase. This one has the koi fish design. And just look at the shape. I mean, just the sinuous shape, but with like kind of a double bulb vase, small top. You can use it as a small bud vase or just for decoration. So you've got the koi fish going around with the lily pads at the top. And then this one has just a gorgeous blue and white design with the pink, I think they're peonies maybe, that's decorated all the way around. So they are both small vases. You're talking about 4 inches, I'd say, in height. They both have the sticker on the bottom so you can know exactly what you're getting, but these end up selling, sometimes you can sell them as a set, they sell for more because you get all 12, but individually these are typically selling around $10 to $15 each. I'm going to sell you both of them you get the pair, and you get the pair for 10 bucks. Because I got it for a good price, I'm going to send it to you as a good price. So you get both of the bases for $10 by giving me letter F. So if you've watched my channel for a while, at some point during COVID, and I can't remember exactly when it was, COVID timing is kind of hard to keep track of anymore. I did instead of a sale, I did kind of a chat on my channel. I think I had Katie and I might have had Nate from Soul Nate. And we just kind of did some trivia and some games from some old papers and games that I had in my collection. And this is one of the items that I showcased that night. It's a little booklet that's called Mental Nuts. Can You Crack Them? It's an illustrated book that is copyrighted on this page, 1897. So we have a 19th century little tiny pocketbook size. Originally was issued by the Waltham Watch Company that they just kind of offered. It was their kind of trivia, but there's ads throughout it. So you got a little Waltham ad, kind of in the middle. So I pull out my cheaters. Let's see. Good morning, sir. With your husband? No. How many of each? Good morning, sir. With your husband, geese and ducks? No, sir. I have not 100. But if I had twice as many geese or 3 times as many ducks, I would have 100 in all. So it's like a horror background of your children's story problems. Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir, with your 100 geese and ducks. Response, no, sir, I have not 100, but if I had twice as many geese or 3 times as many ducks, I would have 100 in all. So how many does he actually have? How many bushels of wheat, 1 million grains each, will it require to allow 1 grain for the first, 1 grain for the first square of a checkerboard, 2 for the second, 4 for the third, etc.? Okay. They had a lot of free time in 1897 to figure out some of these. What 4 weights will weigh any amount in pounds or half pounds from a half pound to 20 pounds? So if you only had 4 weights, what different weights would you need in order to calculate everything from a half pound to 20 pounds? Place 8 checkers on a checkerboard so no 2 are in line horizontally, vertically, or diagonally. Use white and black squares. So I guess you needed props for some of these. So it's just a little fun book. While away the time, test your little memory. It's got all the answers in the back. So, you don't have to just guess or figure it out. It does actually come with the mental nuts being cracked. But it's a very old book, and I just love this old school ephemera, but it wasn't anything that I was doing with it. So I'm offering it for sale here. So you get the little book, 19th century trivia questions from Mental Nuts from the Waltham Watch Company for 10 bucks by giving me letter R for rabbit. Gets you the trivia book. Again, if followed me for a while, you know that I have a history for about for exactly 10 years. My ex-wife and I actually ran a quilt shop. So we sold sewing notions, fabrics. I actually know how to sew. I know how to quilt. And so every once in a while I come across vintage sewing items, and I definitely pick them up for resale. Haven't had any in a while, but I found a little set here, which I thought was kind of cool, and I'm making this available. So this is a box of Satina Making Ironing Easier. Clothes look newer. And there's something in here. It's like a wax type product with the instructions. The box is a little rough condition. The edge of it's missing. The cover has a little bit of a tear, but it's got that great look to it. I don't think there's anything left on here that gave the dates, but it does not have a zip code. So it does have the full name, full address. Since it doesn't have a zip code, it probably means that this is prior to World War II, because that is when, at the end of World War II, is when they started using zip codes. And this is for New York, so it would definitely have had a single-digit zip code. So there's definitely some age on that. We've got a sewing gauge from the Dritz company. This is a metal sewing gauge with a little adjustable sewing gauge there. And then a cardboard. It's a very heavy cardboard, if it's cardboard. That is from the White Sewing Machine Company. It is a 6-inch ruler. So blank on the back, White Sewing Machine Company in the front. So these, I'm selling this again as a little set. You get all 3 of these pieces for 10 bucks, and you get them by giving me letter G. 10 bucks, letter G, for the 3 pieces of sewing notions. All right, the last item is another set. There's another set of 3 items. It is a set of 3 books. I had the new old stock of the Golden books, which were by Whitman Publishing. These are also all by Whitman Publishing. So these are hardcover books. These are all from late 50s, 1960. You've got one from Sea Hunt, which has an illustration of Lloyd Bridges on the front with some great illustrations on the back, some underwater battles. You got a copy of Robin Hood and a copy of the Indian Mummy Mystery. All of these are hardcover bindings. This one just has a plaid inside. The Robin Hood actually has, that's the back, it actually has illustrations in the end papers. So you've got some great illustrations in there, and also some illustrations through the book. Yeah, it looks like a couple of the head of some chapters. You get some illustrations. You got a full page illustration there. And this one also has some illustrations at the end papers. It does have the child's name in it that had them. None of these are marked that they are what their editions were. Whitman didn't always do that. They didn't always do it for the Golden books either. But they all have the copyrights again. The Lloyd Bridges one, 1960. So they're all of that era. Again, pick these up. Originally I was going to sell them, list them individually on eBay. Haven't gotten around to that, so I'm just going to sell them as a set. I picked them up at an inexpensive price, actually at a library. They were selling these, but these were never processed for a library's collection. So they don't have property stamps or anything like that. They all have tight bindings. But, you know, a little bit of wear around the edges. Like, these are not pristine, but they would look fantastic in a decor in a children's room, or give these to a kid to actually read, because, you know, it's still classic literature. You get all 3 of these are part of this, in the set. That's all of them for 10 bucks. So you get all 3 of these books for $10 by giving me a letter L. So that is the Whitman hardcover books. And that's what I've got for the sale. I keep these relatively short because I want people to be able to go through them, you know, kind of fast forward, etc. See if there's things that you like. If there's anything you did like, if you haven't already, make sure you go into the comment section on the video and put the letters that I provided. I will comment on your comment first to say whether you got it, or if you're not the first one to claim, I'll let you know that. And again, if you're curious, if you're not catching these while they're coming up initially on Sunday, I will try and have something within a pinned comment within the description of the video that'll keep an ongoing tally of what's already been claimed and what's still available, so that you're not disappointed if there's something that you wanted. But that is what's available for my drop sale today. So again, thank you so much for participating in what hopefully was an entire afternoon of drop sales as this Huckster Hop. Again, I thank Beth from Carolina Princess Sweet Treats and Pretties for participating. And I also thank all of the other resellers who joined in. The groups the people that participate each month changes a little bit. Of who we're asking, who's available. Some people that want to do it, they're going to be out of town, whatever the case, they don't have the timing. So the grouping always changes. This time I brought it to an even 10. So hopefully I gave you quite a bit to pick from, but it wasn't too overwhelming. But hopefully you had fun. So thanks so much for participating, watching the video. Thanks for giving me your time, and thanks for putting your trust in Trusty Huckster. I will talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.